I'll resume. And it looks like it's going. So hi, fifth graders. It is Miss Rayborn here. And I am so excited today because we get to talk with a local artist who has been inspiring us. Last week, you watched a video about a news reporting about a local artist whose name is Ifesinachukwu. And she has been gracious enough to spend a little bit of time with us today. So hi, welcome.
How you doing?
Hi, we're doing well. We're so excited that you're here with us today. So thank you for this. Fifth graders, you guys sent in 97 different questions. So I'm so excited that you were so engaged and you were so inspired by this. Obviously, I cannot ask 97 different questions. So I've done my best to consolidate your questions down into 6 questions that I hope we're going to have time for. So here we go. Question 1 was, when did you start drawing, and do you remember your first drawing?
So like every kid, you kind of just draw for fun when you're younger, but I wouldn't say I started drawing seriously until 2 years ago. So 2018, around March, I started taking it really seriously, and I started just using graphite pencils. And my first drawing since then was a drawing of a ball, just kind of like a circular ball, kind of trying to make it. And when I finished drawing that and I realized, like, no, this is pretty good, I kind of kept going and started trying to see how far I could take it. And that's how I got to the place where I am now.
Wow, that is so cool. And also, we are starting with learning to shade and draw forms like spheres. So it's so interesting to know that that's how you started. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. So, one of the questions, I'm going to scooch it a little bit out of the order that I had on there, was how long did it take you to learn? So, you mentioned that you started really kind of taking this up in 2018. One student in particular wanted to know, since you're self-taught, if you ever get a little bit frustrated when you're teaching yourself, and like, how do you keep your cool? What keeps you going?
Yeah, it can definitely be frustrating at times when you take on a piece that's challenging in some aspects, but just knowing that it's your art, you can take as much time with it as you want. You're not under a deadline, and you can just make it until you think it's good enough. Because at the end of the day, art is about expression of yourself. And once you start really keeping that in your head while you're drawing or while you're creating art, you stop pressuring yourself to perform to any unrealistic standard. It's not about how good somebody else draws or how good somebody else paints. It's about what you paint and how you paint and what you're trying to convey with your art.
That is awesome. Thank you for sharing. And that sort of leads to another question that was a bit about this. So they said, why is it important to you to use your creativity to express your values and your feelings?
Yeah, I honestly didn't even realize until you told me, Miss Rayborn, that like my art was kind of like an activist. Like, I didn't actually think of it like that until I went back and looked at all of the pieces I had done and the subjects I had drawn, and I realized, wow, these are all really important people or important subjects to me. And I think drawing or creating art that is important to you really just feels the passion. When you're doing something that is important to you, that inspires you, you find it so much easier. It's not like you're doing it because somebody made you do it. You're just doing it because like it's what you love to do. And I feel like when I'm drawing and it's something important for me, I can just, yeah, like I have so much motivation to do it. I do it for fun, and I just forget how much time is going by because I'm just so invested in it.
I love that. So I was signing up at Spicewood. We use this signal for I'm thinking what you're thinking. So we're kind of on the same page. So if you saw me doing that and thinking, what is that crazy lady doing? We talk about this so much. We are a choice-based program here at Spicewood, and we talk about this so much because as an artist, when you're really inspired by your own feelings and emotions and you're expressing what you're kind of going through, one, super engaging, right? And it feels very authentic to who you are.
Mhm.
Two, oftentimes you don't even notice. I've noticed that this happens with me sometimes. It's not that I even intend to take up a cause or something like that. It's just what's bubbling around in my brain because it's what's important to me. It's what
Exactly.
I'm processing and feeling from what I've seen on the news or oh, I love it. I've seen on the news or a book that I'm reading or and maybe an experience that I've personally just had being out in the community and I've seen something that either was comforting to me and made me really happy, or I've seen something that I found upsetting. And I needed to find a way to process those feelings and emotions. So it sounds like we're kind of on the same page. We're thinking the same thing. So, how about next? How do you balance art making and football?
That is a great question. Honestly, it's really hard for me during the school year to have both drawing, football, and school, just because the major I'm in isn't art related at all. It's biomedical engineering. So with biomedical engineering, football, and then art, I kind of had to put art on the back burner. But I'm not completely out of thinking about art. I usually think of a lot of my ideas just throughout the year, and I write them down or like sketch them out and see like if it's something I want to do. And so when I get more free time, whether it's during, winter break or spring break or the summer, then I'll start to draw more, and I can just focus on football and drawing instead of football, school, and then trying to get drawing in there.
I love it. So, do you keep a sketchbook?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely need to start sketching more. I'm more of a person that just like likes to write out the idea
Hmm.
in depth, and then I'll start like trying to think about how I can put it into fruition when I get more time. So I should probably start sketching more. I have a sketchbook, but usually when I sketch in my sketchbook, it's more practicing techniques. But yeah.
Art teachers love to see somebody who keeps a good sketchbook practice. My fifth graders are thinking to themselves, oh, Miss Rayborn, I know our sketchbook. Because I'm always saying, if you've got a quick idea, just get it down on paper because you
Absolutely.
never know. It might be years from now when you're digging around and looking for some new inspiration, and you might find that and go back to it. So you're just capturing that idea. And I love that you said sometimes you sketch it out, but sometimes you just write it down.
Mhm.
um Carrying and gathering these ideas in your sketchbook doesn't always have to be a detailed finished drawing. You could just be writing some notes to yourself. So it's really interesting to know that you also do that, which is great. So this is a good one for next. So what artist inspires you? Our students were super inspired by you. Whose art do you look at and do you feel inspired by?
Wow, that's a really tough question. I follow like a lot of artists on Instagram, and so I get a lot of inspiration from them. But also just going back into like the classical periods, I think Van Gogh is probably one of my favorite artists of all time, which is funny because the style is pretty different. But I just think that the beauty and the creativity in his art is something that can inspire you no matter what medium you're using. Just like seeing how it can be in a very different style and still be just so incredibly beautiful. So that's an artist I really really like.
I love that. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. It's so true that sometimes the artists that inspire us the most aren't necessarily perfectly aligned with the way that we make and create.
Mhm.
So I think that's really awesome. Thanks for sharing. So this is my last question that we've boiled down our questions to. Of course, we couldn't answer all 97 questions, fifth graders, but I'm so excited that you contributed that many incredible questions. So the last question was, what advice do you have for a young artist like me?
Okay. I would say one, don't pressure yourself. Don't think that you have to be the greatest artist right away. Maybe you will be the greatest artist, but don't think that you have to be that right now. Um, do what you love. Just make sure that when you're creating art, you're not doing it because you want somebody else's approval. You're doing it because you want your own approval. Because if you like your art, I guarantee you that it'll resonate more with people that like your art, because they'll feel the authenticity of your art. They'll feel the emotion behind your art. And if you have that, then your art will be great. And three, I just say have fun. Art is something that's supposed to be fun. Don't try and make it something that it's not, and just have fun with it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so true. And we talk a lot about that, about when you're making artwork that is authentic to yourself. One, it will be engaging to the people around you because they know you and who you are as a person. Two, it allows them to get to know you as a person a little bit more. And three, if you're making things that are authentic to yourself, no matter what happens with it, you are going to be having fun and having a
Exactly.
good time, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so grateful for your time today. And I know that our fifth graders are going to be so excited to watch this. They have already, they watched this yesterday and contributed those 97 questions from yesterday afternoon to this morning that
Wow.
quickly. And I have already gotten several emails today. When do we get the video?
I'm glad they're
So
excited.
they're very excited and they're very engaged and they're feeling very inspired by not only your work but also how you're juggling all of these different things. So I don't want to keep you any longer because I know you've got schoolwork along with so many other things, but we're so grateful for the time that you offered us today. And I know that my fifth graders would want me to all say, I have 170 fifth graders, and
Wow.
they would want, I know we have a big fifth grade class, and they would want me to say thank you very much, not only for your beautiful artwork, but also for sharing your time and your knowledge with us today.
Y'all are more
So,
than
fifth
welcome.
graders, it happened. And I can't wait to hear your follow up questions.